Oh God, ringtones. Do you guys remember that time? Do you remember those few years where the mobile phone sort of evolved as sort of a home? Now, pre the iPhone, I was actually working for a company called Lavalife that started a mobile ventures division, and we were building chat apps, dating apps, um, and like mobile messaging apps, and dealing directly with the telecom companies. So we would have to deal directly with them and create apps that could live on the phone. Let's go. Oh, let it go. Come on. Hey everyone, it's Yoli Chisholm, and if you don't know me, you will get to know me. If you're watching this, it probably means that you're in my network somehow. And those that know me know I do a marketing experiment every single year. I've been a digital marketer for 20 years, and if you're watching this, well, you're in my experiment. I never talk about what it is I'm testing this year, but let's see. A couple of years ago, I grew my Facebook following to about 100,000 and then just deleted that account. That was an experiment. A couple of years ago, I rode the crypto wave and took 7K and grew it up to $70,000. And that was a ride, and I captured that on YouTube. And so this year, I'm going bigger. So I want to make sure that you guys are connected with me on all of my various social networks. So whatever your flavor is, pick it up and I'll be there. Yoli Chisholm across the web. And please feel free to check out my website, yolichisholm.com. And if you want to text, because you know what? Text is the next thing. Text me, hey Yoli, to 474747. Let's connect. So I know some of you are wondering, why should I even bother tuning in? Why should I listen to Yoli Chisholm? What has she got to say that might be interesting? Well, it might not be interesting, but I do happen to think I've had a very interesting life. As I said earlier, I've been a digital marketer for 20 years, so I've kind of grown up with the web and actually fell into the web originally as a marketer. I was working for a consumer packaged good retail organization, a company in Canada called Byway that had over 500 stores, and I would design the flyer and work with the merchandising team to decide what would be in that flyer. And there was a whole art and science in terms of how we wanted to drive people through the store. That was fascinating, and that was kind of like my first sort of real corporate job. Now, I put it in quotes because I actually fell into marketing. I am not a professionally trained marketer. Over the last 20 years, I have obviously had a ton of experience at companies like Microsoft, I've worked for through three different CEOs. And worked for companies like eBay, working at a company called Sprinklr right now that's in a really interesting space. I've worked for a company called Points.com, worked for MSN, all category kings, which I will talk about um, over the course of the year. So I'm going to be developing some content talking all about marketing. And if you are into marketing, I'd love for you to tune in. So make sure that you connect with me on all of the social media channels, whatever is your flavor. So as I mentioned a little bit about my background, um, started out in consumer packaged goods, working for a big retailer that got swallowed up by folks like Walmart and Amazon, and lived through what that was like and what it was like to be in a company when you see your industry essentially transitioning and being sort of eaten up by, in this case, it was the web, and made the transition into work technology and working for a technology organization. So I actually quit my job in retail, took a 6-month course, learned HTML, and the first job I got was to build an affiliate program for one of Canada's biggest retailers, e-commerce retailers. So they go by indigo.ca right now, but originally it was chapters.ca, and they were the first online bookseller. So I really kind of lucked out. My first job in tech was for the first e-commerce bookseller in Canada that was sort of the Amazon equivalent. And built an affiliate program to 9,000 sites. Now, I have a very deep affinity for affiliate marketing, and I'm still amazed by the amount of marketers who do not use affiliate marketing. It is at the core of Amazon's success. And we'll talk about things like that. Anyway, I went on to work at MSN. My second gig in technology was working for MSN. They were coming into the Canadian market. They needed to build different channels, and I built the first shopping channel on the Canadian MSN portal, and went on to build the finance channel, the games channel, and then eventually ended up managing what we call the network entry points. So MSN's homepage, Hotmail's homepage, responsible for driving sort of the balance between editorial content and advertising throughout the network. That was a really, really fun time. And actually, that was when I really built an affinity with working with business development teams and the relationship in terms of how do you ensure you're working with the right top partners, and how do you enable the sales team to have the right assets as they go out to kind of acquire those channel partners. So every time we launched a new channel, we had to make sure we had the top finance organizations for the finance channel, the top sellers and top retailers for the shopping channel, the top gaming providers for the gaming channel. So that was really cool, and I learned a lot in that experience. And one of the companies that I ended up working quite a bit with was eBay. So eBay, this was during the years when brands and startups that were just coming into a market, they would work with like maybe one or two portals, because in those days the portals were the kings, and so they would spend like their entire marketing budget on a portal. That definitely changed as the web evolved, but I was there during those years, and it was very interesting. Anyway, I brought up eBay because I ended up going to work for eBay, and they were coming into the Canadian market, and they had some specific challenges. As you can imagine, Canadians had been shopping in the U.S., and so it was like, how do you tell them, hey, we've got a Canadian site over here? And then how do you kind of evolve and drive acquisition? They had to scale growth at a breakneck speed, and I got to work with some amazing, amazing thought leaders and amazing growth marketers in that space before it was called growth marketing. So some exciting things we did at eBay was basically built new tech. So I remember working on a project where I worked with DoubleClick. DoubleClick had not been acquired by Google, and we built using some technology that they called boom tags, and it enabled us to personalize the website and personalize the homepage for every single user differently. So we had 5 different landing pages for sort of 5 different segments of users. Anyway, a lot of interesting learnings around audience segmentation and building tech to enable personalization based on actions that those users have taken or not taken. Very interesting, very, very early. This was sort of almost 15 years before sort of the discipline of website personalization with companies like Demandbase have evolved. And actually, some of them aren't even sort of, are really in the early stages of that. So it was exciting to be with a company that was ready to sort of push the envelope in growth and also developing new tech as part of your marketing role, um, which sometimes companies sort of now, companies have been so focused, or the marketing discipline, I should say, sometimes gets siloed, and you don't necessarily have the opportunity to extend beyond your discipline. Um, so anyway, I really appreciate my time at eBay for that reason. Very forward and progressive company. So I got to work with engineering teams a lot in that period, you know, and they would laugh at me because I'd be like, well, can't we just do this? I'm like, sure, Yoli. Um, so I really do appreciate it when I have the opportunity to work with engineers who are like, maybe we can't do it the way you articulated it, but I'm going to find out how we can. That sort of can-do attitude, which is super, super, super cool because you end up building some really innovative technology. So, gosh, since then, I ended up working in, oh God, ringtones. Do you guys remember that time? Do you remember those few years where the mobile phone sort of evolved as sort of a home? Now, pre the iPhone, I was actually working for a company called Lavalife that started a mobile ventures division, and we were building chat apps, dating apps, um, and like mobile messaging apps, and dealing directly with the telecom companies. So we would have to deal directly with them and create apps that could live on the phone. And then the iPhone came on, and the iPhone was launched, and that just changed that whole world. And what was exciting though was to see how developers were able to build whole businesses on this new medium, this new platform. And I, as a marketer, was also able to try new tech. So I was one of the first mobile marketers when AdMob was just launching. They hadn't been acquired by Google yet. Companies like Millennium Media, I think it was one of the first mobile marketing advertising platforms. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to be one of the first marketers in the Canadian space on those platforms. For B2B and B2C sort of marketing. So super, super exciting time. Gosh, I remember the mobile sites, and I remember the marketing around ringtones. A lot to be learned in terms of the fine line between, um, well, sort of optimizing forms and how much data you take in, and how much sort of what you ask for upfront. So privacy, I would say, during that tenure, there was a lot that evolved in terms of um, asking for permission, opt-in, exposing sort of what are the T's and C's, because if you'll remember, it was so easy to get people to buy ringtones. You know, kids would end up running up their parents' bills. And it's because of that phenomenon that you've seen a lot of the governance that has evolved on the phone and just even on the web in terms of opting in, etc. I found got refined during that period. Um, so it was an exciting time. As a marketer, it was so cool because everything was moving at such a breakneck speed, and now we had to add this whole other dimension in terms of to our marketing. We were used to just marketing for the desktop, and people coming to our experiences on the desktop, and now we had this opportunity to market directly to the phone, right? And they had their phone with them, and at all times. And you've seen how that has evolved. Anyway, so I remember the start of that and being part of that evolving our marketing and evolving how we designed websites and how how even how HTML has evolved, and how the use of video, etc., has evolved. Anyway, lots and lots to talk about. So I'm hoping you will join me this year as I chat about my career in marketing and some of the things that I've experienced, and as the technology has evolved. Tune in. What you waiting for? I see you standing